ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदयन्तोऽस्ति अपत्राणि विधुनोति सहस्रतम्। नष्टप्रायेषु अपत्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. So today we'll be summarizing Canto 4, Chapter 29. So I'll just go ahead and offer the prayers and then we can get started. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarne. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्त वृंद. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Good morning, dear devotees. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to summarize chapter 29 today. And then please forgive me for any of my shortcomings while speaking on this summary. So this Canto 4, Chapter 29, we have been seeing this, right? Few chapters now that where the conversation is happening between Srila Narada Muni and King Prachina Bharishat. So that's where we are continuing this allegory. So this chapter, so it's extremely practical because it is explaining to us about the whole history, or I guess all the mechanisms what goes into it, right? So it basically explains why we are bound, and then how death actually works, and then how bhakti is going to be liberating us. Those are really the principles that are being discussed here. So let's look at the context of this chapter now, right? So King Prachina Bari, we saw he's a very pious king. This was like a couple chapters ago, right? But what was his thing? He was overly attached to elaborate Vedic sacrifices. And what was the goal of performing all these sacrifices was that he was aiming at material prosperity and he wanted elevation to heavenly planets. So externally, he was very religious, but how was his consciousness? His focus was still very material because all of everything that he was doing was really to prosper materially. We saw that. And then Narada Muni saw this, right? And we know so many stories where Narad Muni is so compassionate, and then he'll come and he'll either give him, like, straight chastisement, or he will somehow guide the disciples. That's what he does in various pastimes. So here what happens is Narad Muni doesn't come and directly criticize him, like, what are you doing? You need to be doing this, something like that. He doesn't do that. Instead, what does he do? He tells an allegorical story of King Puranjan. And we saw that. So in chapter 28, the story was completely narrated. And in chapter 29, King Puranjan, so Prachina Parishat saying, so I don't understand what is all that. So then that's when Narad Muni directly starts giving him the instructions. So this also shows a very important teaching principle, right? With the spiritual master, like they will speak according to the capacity of the listener. So that's very important. And also we have to see, like, the spiritual masters are also so compassionate. They don't like, I mean, there were some spiritual masters who were directly chastised, but now, depending on the time, place, and circumstance, they know how they can guide the disciples. So spiritual masters are so compassionate, and they will guide based on the capacity of the disciple also. We see that, right, in practical experiences too. So that's what here Srila Narad Muni is also demonstrating, that he's really practically guiding King Prachinabhari. So then the allegory is explained, right? So who is King Puranjan in the story? Who is King Puranjan? He's representing the conditioned jiva, the soul who wanted to enjoy independent of Krishna. And that's all of us, right? That's exactly why we are here in this material world, having this material body, because we all wanted to enjoy independent of Krishna. And the city of nine gates, so that's referring to the human body, which is the two eyes, the two ears, two nostrils, mouth, anus, and genitals. And this body of nine gates, which we get so attached to, is really our temporary residence, right? It's not a real home. And that is a very much like the foundation principle that is being given to us even in Bhagavad Gita, right? When Krishna starts speaking to Arjuna, the first principle that he says is understand that you are not this body. And there are several verses explaining about the importance of the soul. So that's exactly what is happening here too. And then the queen, remember, we talked about King Puranjan's queen. She represented material intelligence, which is buddhi. So we have to understand that this intelligence, when it is attached to sense enjoyment, it just binds us over and over and over. It becomes a reason for bondage. However, the same intelligence, when is attached to Krishna, it becomes the instrument of liberation. So we have to understand that how it is the same intelligence, but how we can utilize it based on our consciousness. And then we saw the attendants, they were the senses, and then we have the gardens, which were the sense objects. So whenever the jiva is enjoying in this material world, usually the jiva is thinking, oh, look, I'm enjoying so much. But in reality, what is happening is the senses and the mind are pulling him. That's what happens. And then over and over and over, the jiva gets bound, right? That's that we see that. I mean, it's the practical life of all of us. And then what happens is, so Puranjan, this allegorical story, Puranjan becomes so absorbed. If you remember, right, some of those verses where he would exactly follow what the material intelligence was doing. And he becomes so absorbed in his family life, children, kingdom, all of it. And then Srila Prabhupada is explaining that material life is meant to accept something beyond the temporary, right? We want to accept, we have the shreyas and prayas, right? Prayas is like short-term goals and things like that, but shreyas is the long term. So we have to understand that everything that we are doing is just going to keep us bound more and more, and then understand that we are supposed to be aiming for the permanent goal, which is really, going back to Krishna. That's our ultimate goal. So, what happens here in this material world, as we are seeing from King Puranjan's story, is that he forgets his real identity, who he is, and neglects self realization. He believes that happiness comes from all these temporary activities, like even performing Vedic rituals is also considered like that, as long as the conscious is not right. And then overall, we have to understand that in this teachings, Narada Muni is saying all of that, but we have to understand that it is not that family life is being condemned. That's never been condemned, right? But the condemnation is forgetting Krishna in family life. So we could always be doing what we are doing all the responsibility, grahastha, taking care of family, taking care of children, going to work, everything we do beautifully. However, all of this has to be done with keeping Krishna in the center. So that is an important point that Srila Prabhupada is bringing in all of these verses too. Then we come on to understand the reality of life. And what is that regarding time? It talked about Chandavega, right? We talked about Kala, how the time will attack. And along with time, who came was Jara. Jara was old age. So nobody can control that. Everybody is going to get old. Everybody is going to get disease, weakness. Everything is going to come. And then when that happens, what happens is we lose our intelligence, our body starts failing. And then what happens is the consciousness is the only thing, right? At the time of death, we lose everything. But the consciousness is the one which is going to take us to our next life. So Prabhupada is focusing on that. What is our consciousness? And that's the whole reason, also, right? Like the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. He did not name it something else. So, because he was all along focusing on the consciousness, that's the important part. What do we develop? So, Puranjan's mind was absorbed in his wife. So, then that's why he took birth again as a woman in the next life because of that absorption. And then we know this from Bhagavad Gita, verse 8.6, that whatever state of being, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam, whatever state of being one remembers at death, and that is the state one will attain. So the central teaching of this is really from all of this allegory and Srila Narada Muni's allegorical story, everything is that karmakanda is insufficient, right? Vedic sacrifices, what would happen is it will keep one bound to all the results. We maintain the bodily identification and will not destroy our desire to enjoy, be the enjoyer. So that's the important part, that Vedic sacrifices is not going to take us anywhere. It will really elevate us to the heavenly planets, but that's not the end of it, right? Because like a roller coaster or whatever the wheel it is, you're just keep coming back and back again and again. So Vedic sacrifices is not the solution. And jnana alone is also insufficient. We can have a ton of knowledge, we can be learning a lot of the things, but it can come with dry speculation. And it will not uproot our material attachment either. So it is important that we develop, again, it has to be Krishna's mercy, but then bhakti will transcend both. What would happen is when somebody comes into devotional service, then it purifies the desire. Everything that may be there, it just becomes like purified everything. And then it also fixes our consciousness on Krishna, on Vasudev, right? Then all of this, whatever attraction and everything it was there, our attraction gets directed towards the Lord. And then so also what happens along with this process is that as and how we develop our consciousness, then the effect of time also nullifies the effect of time, the fear about death, all of that is kind of gone, because a devotee, what happens is focusing suddenly, like the focus becomes Krishna, and then anything that happens, that the devotee is going to take a look at, this is all Krishna's mercy. So it doesn't matter. You may be doing family life, we may be doing business, we may be doing whatever we may be doing. However, the center is always Krishna, and anything that happens in our life becomes as a reciprocation of Krishna. And I just want to quote the verse, right? When Romapad Maharaj was here, literally every class he was speaking about this verse, which is Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-3. Jnane prayasamudapasya namanta eva जीवन्ति सन्मुखिरतं भवदीयवर्तं स्थाने स्थिता श्रुतिगतं तनुवान् मनोभिर् ये प्रयासोजितजितो पियसि तैस्त्रिलोक्यम्. So this is a very important verse for us in our practical application. In fact, I feel that this verse can also be taken like our guiding path, like a guiding verse in our lives also, like where it is said that those who, even while remaining situated in their established social positions, throw away the process of speculative knowledge, and they, with their body, minds, words, and mind, offer all respects to description of your personality and activities, dedicating their lives to these narrations, which are vibrated by you personally and by your pure devotees, certainly conquer your lordship, although you are otherwise unconquerable by anyone within the three worlds. What does this mean for us? And this is also brought up by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was speaking to Ramananda Rai, when Ramananda Rai is asking to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right, what is the ultimate goal? Remember, so he goes through a lot of the things, and in the end, like he says about this. So basically, this is a practical lesson for all of us. It's not like we have to quit what we are doing. We continue. Sthane stita shruti gatam. So basically, we stay where we are in this position, whatever role, whatever function we have been given in our normal daily life, we stay in that position. However, what do we do? Shruti Gatam. So we come and we listen to Krishna Katha. We chant, we take prasadam, we listen to Krishna Katha. And so what happens with that? See, slowly our devotion increases, and then we are so certainly with this devotional process, you can certainly conquer the Lordship. Otherwise, he's unconquerable. So, really, if you think about it, right, bhakti process is not that complicated. Sometimes I think we think that, when we come into ISKCON, when we come into Krishna consciousness, we think, oh, there's so many this and rules and this and that. But we have to understand that all of these things are just helping us regulate because we are trying to approach somebody that is pure, right? We are ultimate pure, ultimate source of everything. He's Krishna. So, all of these things, what we are doing is really to have some austerity, to have some regulation. But ultimately, if you go to Vrindavan and look at the Brajavasis, nobody needs to tell them you need to remember Krishna because that is what it's in their heart. So that's where ultimately we need to go, like where all along it doesn't matter where you are, but in deep in the heart, like it's always Krishna is there, and it's not like Krishna is there and he's kind of just in the background, like not like that, but very actively Krishna is there and like palpable. The bhakti is so palpable that even somebody who's around you, even if you're not speaking directly about Krishna, but they can still feel Krishna within you. So that's what it is ultimately. Like as I said, bhakti is not that complicated as long as we are reading about Krishna, and Krishna also has made the pastime so beautiful for us. So as long as we start reading about Krishna, even look at now, the children are reading Krishna book in the evening. How fortunate are they, to be able to read Krishna's pastimes, and that too consistently every day in the evening they are able to read. And Madhumai Mataji is leading it so nicely, that whole reading session with other devotees too. But I'm just saying that this is it. As long as we are reading, we are listening about Krishna Katha, and we are developing that attraction and with sincerity, if we are doing it, our consciousness is going to be slowly, slowly purified. Ultimately, we get to a point where we understand that there's nothing else and we completely surrender to Krishna. So now some of the practical lesson for us to think about is like, what am I attached to? What is my attachment today? Because that will become my meditation at death. And then intelligence also, right? My intelligence. And again, Romapad Swami, when he was here for the Japa retreat, he gave a very good definition of intelligence. One shelter only and give up all other, where we can clearly understand that the intelligence we are talking about is taking deep shelter of Krishna, because we go around and we get distracted by so many other things, but as long as we keep that one intelligence focused on Krishna, our like the desires get purified, our focus gets purified, and our intelligence and everything is focused on Krishna. So how does even that become? Is because of the practice, right? Abhyasa, we have to do that. And all of that is with our current habits. Like even this morning, every morning, waking up in the morning, joining this session, chanting together, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, that itself it's like, taking your daily vitamin, right? We take the vitamins to make sure that we don't get sick easily, whatever, the precautionary, right? It's like a preventive thing, taking vitamins. Same like that. This is our daily dose of vitamin in the morning, doing the Srimad Bhagavatam reading and doing the japa in the morning. So our practices, honestly, Srila Prabhupada has given us the full package. As long as we continue doing that, we'll get there. Then we just have to have the faith that it will take us there. But yeah, chanting the holy name, Srimad Bhagavatam, our beautiful devotee association that we have, and then our daily activities to Krishna, that's really what it is. And then all of this is going to take us where ultimately we will understand that, just get us ready, get us prepared, just so our consciousness will take us to the next path. Because honestly, none of us know, right, how far we are, or even where we are. Like, we don't have that measurement, because this track, this path is decided by Krishna. It is not like any of the other things that we think about, corporate ladder, or maybe it is like the running race or things like that, where okay, if I have like 800, if it is a marathon, okay, I have to run so much of this distance, and I get to the end goal. But here, we know this is a path, but then the ultimate goal is decided by Krishna. Whenever he wants to bestow mercy upon us, it could be this lifetime, could be at the end of like the last lifetime, and we could be going back to Krishna, but we don't know that yet. So at this time, really, our focus will be that we just continue. And again, it doesn't matter whatever Krishna decides for us, but that full surrender, and then having Krishna within our heart, again, with love, right? It's not like, because I have to do this, I'm doing it, but rather really having that loving relationship with the Lord, and just keep working and purifying on our senses and all of it. That's where we are going to be getting. So with that, I would like to end. Thank you so much again for this